Hey, Ryan Groff here. Welcome to this training on how to become a value-based contractor instead of a price-based contractor. Now, the problem that I see all the time is that people, the contractors, just don't know how to sell value. They know how to get jobs, they know how to bid jobs and get the job mainly because they're low bid. And that's, I guess, okay, right? If you're okay with low margins and maybe getting paid slowly and stuff like that, and you can keep crews busy, and maybe you need to do that to just start. But you really don't want to be that. You want to be the value-based contractor, somebody who's getting paid what you're worth. You know you're better than the other guy, and you want to be able to like portray that in the market. You want people to pay for it, right? So what we need to do is take some steps. But first, let's just dig deeper into the problem here. And the problem with that is the problem really is being too dependent on price to win. And I understand some environments are so price sensitive, but at the end of the day, when you have low margin and you're putting so much pressure on your crews to do work and they make mistakes and it cuts into it, it really hurts your cash flow. And you don't want to just kind of say, all right, well, if we're going to grow, we just got to throw more against the wall, bid more work and be low, and then we'll grow. Problem is, that just is so dangerous because you land one big job, you mess up, and it ruins your year, and you're like maybe out of business. Some people have paid a really high price of tuition for that. And so to avoid making all these mistakes and costing this much money, what we got to do is kind of find out, like, how do we stop underbidding ourselves just to win the job and get into that value mode? How do we really create value? And so ways to fix this, I've got 5 steps you can take to begin fixing this. First off is build relationship. Stop being so transactional. That invitation to bid, for the most part, guys, is a reverse auction. Just that environment in and of itself, it's a reverse auction of how low can you go. It's like playing limbo, right? And that is the world that when you're focused on relationship, like you actually face to face, shake a hand, spend time with somebody, and you go deeper, you're able to secure more trust and respect and have that kind of situation that you really want to start to add and create more value, which costs money and time, right? To go out there and do that costs time and money. Secondly, think less but better, right? Not, I got clients who are doing a better job at this and selling the same and more work, but bidding 30% less work. That is massive to the bottom line. Less mistakes are happening, less money invested into bidding in the wrong environments. You have to be thinking less but better. The more you say no, the more you can put that energy into the right things. And like all those invitations to bid and the wrong clients that you really don't want to work with are like weeds in your garden. You got to keep pulling them out, and you got to tend your garden and keep it in that environment of the right relationships with people that want to pay you what you're worth. And they're really somebody that cares, and they're the right clients for you. They're more partners. Thirdly, I would say this is so critical, but your team members, your estimator, project managers, account managers, salespeople, however you name them, want to call them, they're going to have a certain level of money tolerance and then a comfort discussing money. What do I mean by that? Well, if you have a high money tolerance, like a lot of owners are really good salespeople because they know how to, like, they're not freaked out about big dollars, right? Like, whoa, they got to get the owner in on this $1 million job. The problem with that is, salespeople, they start to get worried and start to change. It's like, whenever they're dealing with bigger figures, and nothing should change except the zeros at the end of the situation. Nothing's different. Fundamentally, it's the same, but people struggle with that, and their comfort discussing money is poor. So when they're asking, well, they don't ask about budget. They don't ask about where they're going to get the funds. They don't ask about timeline. They don't ask about, anything on urgency. They don't really talk about anything as regards to consequences because their money tolerance and their comfort discussing money is low. We've got to really evaluate that, make it objective, and help people see that that's a huge weakness that's making them so dependent on price to get work rather than selling value. We all want to sell value, right? We all want to be the guy that everybody will pay more for to get. And that's something that you're worth. And you have to be able to articulate that But more importantly, you have to be able to have a conversation about what happens if they don't do that. And that's what the long-term cost to the client is. What do I mean by that? Think about it. If they go with somebody who, let's say, Chuck in a truck, right? Or Tank Top Tommy, they go with the alternative. They go with your competitor and something doesn't go right, although they pay less. What's going to happen? Change orders, right? Having to do it again, having to, fix their problems and not being, covered, no warranties or any of that. There's a lot of problems with the alternative, and we need to be able to have a conversation custom per prospect, per situation, of what the financial impact is going to be when they don't do it right. Okay. And that's something that you have to be able to do to sell value. And I have a little trick there. It's the rule of ratios. If the cost of your alternative, the cost of this problem, or the cost of this not being solved right, the cost, if it's 2 times more than your solution, it's a no-brainer, right? So we have to be able to have a conversation, do a little math, and do this on every deal, especially new prospects who don't know you, right? And they're just going through that. And then lastly, have a milestone-centric sales process that is supportive of our ability to sell value. So these are 5 steps. What we want to do is become somebody who's a value-based contractor. We know our value. There's worth behind it. We're able to do it with a lot of confidence. That's something that if you're struggling to get carried through your entire team, you're suffering with low bid, stuff. You're suffering from low margins. You're frustrated with the way you and your sales guys or your estimators, project managers are getting work. And you want help and you want to be able to do this and actually execute on it. You can try on your own. You'd be fine. Or you could talk with me, set up a strategy session, tell me about the situation, tell me why it's a problem, how committed you are to solving it. I want to hear, the voice of conviction, because that means you really want to change. But then if you really want that, I could talk about how we can fix that and be like the other clients who are applying my principles and techniques and content and training and becoming like full-blown, like predictable sales teams that are growing and having a lot of fun doing it and making a lot of money and reinvesting back into the growth of their people and their team. And it's a lot of fun. So again, Ryan here, thanks for tuning in on this training. And I hope this is helpful, and look forward to talking to you soon.